discuss the 4 reasons why I moved to the Philippines. Now, first of all, you have to decide to leave your home country, and that's not easy. A lot of people fantasize about being on a beach in a tropical climate and living the good life. That all sounds great, but most people don't do it, can't do it. They have jobs, they've got family, they've got kids, grandkids. They're afraid to do it. They just don't want to change, and that's fine. Most people it's not suitable for. But I wanted a big change and start over again in a new place, and it was very exciting to come here to the Philippines when I retired. So, when you decide that you're going to leave your home country, why pick the Philippines? Well, for me, I had visited here several times, maybe 10 times for a 10-year period prior to moving here, so there were no surprises when I retired. And I chose the Philippines for 4 reasons. 4 categories. One is money. The second one is people. The third one is geography, and the fourth one is language. And maybe language should be number 3 now that I think about it. And I will get to that, why it's so important. And the number 1 is money. I debated about making that number 1 or not. But money is always important in the end, even if money is not a big deal to you. But if you don't have enough, it is a big deal. But it doesn't take a lot of money to live in the Philippines, a lot less than the United States. A lot less. And that's important, because if it costs just as much in the U.S. as here, I doubt that I would be here. I would just stay in San Diego. If I could live as good in San Diego as here, why would I move? San Diego is beautiful. And my thought would have been, well, just stay there, the heck with it. But you can live a lot better life here. If you're an average sort of a guy, you can live a lot better life here. I live for a half to 1/3 what it would cost in the U.S. to do the same thing. It's a lot cheaper for rent. I live in a nice apartment that overlooks the bay on the one side and the mountains on the other, and I spend $400 a month U.S. equivalent. And that's for everything. For rent, for electricity, for internet, water, everything. Now try to do that in San Diego. To live by the ocean would cost thousands. Thousands, I'm sure. And eating out is all half. So the living expenses are somewhere between 1/3 and a half of what they are in the United States. Of course, that depends on where you're living, but it is significant. So I can live a much better life here, and I am. So money is important. Wait a minute, coming up on this line that I gotta watch when I step over. Okay, number 2, the people. The Filipino people are wonderful people. They love Americans. I saw a survey one time about how people over the world in different countries feel about U.S. citizens. And the Philippines was number 1, even ahead of the United States and Canada. They like us better than Americans like us. And most Filipinos are wonderful people. They're basically, most of them are religious, family people. Now that's not to say they're all good. Of course, there's bad ones. They have prisons here, just like in any other country. And you got to be a little bit on guard, but not by a whole lot. I don't walk around looking behind my back. And you have to use common sense. Don't set yourself up to be taken advantage of by anybody, because they will take advantage if you're foolish enough to let it happen. And the women are fantastic here. Pretty hard to beat a Filipina. Now once again, sure there's bad ones, and you'll hear stories about the bad ones on the internet and say, oh, they're all bad and they'll rip you off and that's all they want is the money. But the many, many thousands of guys who are happy here with their girlfriends and wives just aren't on the internet talking about it. Only those guys that got ripped off, they're on the internet talking about it, so it makes it sound like a lot worse than it is. You can find hundreds and hundreds of guys who are very happy with their wives and girlfriends. So the Filipinos are very helpful. If you need any help at all, they will assist you. Any questions, they're very helpful. I broke down in a vehicle that I rented once, and within a few minutes there were 6 guys helping me. The repair was complicated and they got me going eventually. It was amazing. So the third category, I'm going to say language. It's easy to visit countries that you don't know the language for a short time. That's not a problem. People at the hotels and taxi cab drivers, they will understand English perhaps. But in the Philippines, most people understand English. In big and medium-sized towns, most understand English. And so it's not a problem. Language is not a problem. When you get out into the provinces, you'll find very few people speaking English sometimes. But in the cities, like here in Subic Bay, just about everybody speaks English. It's not a problem. So if you have a problem learning language, or you don't want to learn another language, you're going to be very uncomfortable in a country that that very few people speak English. It'll grind you down after a while. It's a problem unless you're willing to learn to be fluent in the country's language. Geography is the final category of why I moved here. And I mean by that, it's beautiful here. If this was just nothing but ugly desert, maybe I wouldn't be here. But there's beauty everywhere you look. Even here in Subic Bay, there's beauty. Within a short drive of an hour, you find incredible places like Pundaket and Crystal Beach, and there's other areas. Within a half a day's drive, it's just phenomenal, the beautiful areas you can find. And so the question is, why did I settle in Subic Bay? That'll be my final topic of this video. With thousands of places I can retire here in the Philippines, why Subic Bay? I call Subic Bay a good compromise. I say that because the beautiful places to live have no infrastructure. Just if you go up the coast here to Pundaket and Crystal Beach, lovely areas. I would love to live there, but I don't, because there's very little infrastructure. You don't have hospitals, large stores, shopping centers, immigration office, that sort of thing. It's great to visit, but when you're living somewhere, it's really nicer to have infrastructure, and for some people they need even more than what is here in Subic Bay. That's why Angeles City has a lot more expats than here in Subic, because more people want a lot more infrastructure. They want several shopping centers, lots of stores, lots of bars, lots of restaurants. Here in Subic, there's hospitals, bars, restaurants, but not nearly as many as Angeles City. So if you're a big person, sort of a big town person, you'll end up in a place like Angeles City before you'll end up here in a smaller area of Subic Bay. But Subic Bay is great because you have a lot of expats here and expat businesses, hotels, hotel restaurants that serve American style food. So the food is good here. If you get way out in the province, you're going to have a hard time finding American food. So all those things I just mentioned add up to a really good life for me here in the Philippines.